This talk is called Poised to Deploy. What does poised to deploy mean? Poised to deploy does not mean having your finger over the red button marked deploy. That is not what poised to deploy is. Poised to deploy means knowing what the platform is supposed to do, knowing how the platform works to do that, knowing what the platform's actual behavior is meaning, being able to change based upon that set of knowledge, being able to predict the effects of the changes that you're putting into place, being able, of course, to force the platform to do that, and finally, being prepared to deal with the inevitable snafu consequences that come forward. We are mostly people, because we are gearheads who think about the lower half of the slide. We're fascinated by deployment mechanisms and by code repositories and the intricacies of trying to make various forks and branches and other little typey things go together and work. That's gearhead stuff, okay? But what we ignore is that on top of that, there's this entire layer of people, organization, working in this kind of coordinated and often very complicated way to keep track of what the platform is supposed to do, how it works, what it's doing now, and what we ought to be changing in order to accomplish that. Now, there are hints that this situation is actually more complicated than it's usually described. Let me give you just a couple of examples. There's a myth that all deploys are deploys. So we deploy 53 times a day. We deploy 72 times a day. Well, that suggests that all the deploys are the same. Let me tell you that ain't so, okay? And as an example, just go into your own house and say, oh, by the way, I'm getting ready to deploy a small schema change to the database. You'll get an immediate reaction, which is, what? Who said you could do that? All right? So not all deploys are the same. And in fact, this idea of counting deploys, it's kind of nonsense. I mean, what a ridiculous way to measure progress.